Hello, I'm Erin Roberts from Dante's, the Defense Activity for Non-Traditional Education Support, and we are glad to be here again. We thank Military OneSource for letting us come to talk to you about your education opportunities, especially during this time of COVID. We want to make sure that all of our military members know that this is a perfect time for you to focus on your education and to learn about some of the no-cost programs that Dante's offers you. So I'm here with Mr. Doug Johnson. Doug, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and then we'll get started and share some information about the programs.
Okay, great, Erin. So good afternoon to everybody. Like Erin said, I'm Doug Johnson, program manager here at Dante's. I manage the military training evaluation program. Really want to welcome all of you to what I guess this would be our second segment on Military OneSource for the military training evaluation program. And for those of you who may not be aware, we did a segment last June. And during that time, we had a lot of uncertainty and change as it relates to our educational environment and as a whole. And so I'm really excited today to be able to hone in a little more about the value of the program and the JST to our service members and to our veterans.
All right. Well, let's get right into this. Doug, if you could start, it's the Military Training and Evaluation Program. The acronym is Mtep. And what exactly is the program?
Yeah, so just as a reminder to those who may have seen us last year, and for those who are new to learning about the Military Training Evaluation Program, it's really a program that helps to it helps service member earn college credit recommendations for knowledge that they gain through their training and occupational experience. If you're not familiar with our program, we partner with a group called the American Council on Education, who go out and do evaluations on behalf of Dante's and the DoD, and they are the ones that make the credit recommendations that end up being documented on your individual joint service transcripts.
Okay, and so we're talking about a program that benefits service members.
Yeah.
Can you tell us who within the military services are eligible to take advantage of the Mtep program?
Yeah, absolutely. So our program covers all enlisted officers and warrant officers, active and our veterans as well. So, and that's across the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Coast Guard. We also do National Guard, and we also do reserve components as well. Now, one area that we don't normally do is our Air Force personnel transcripting, because the Air Force has the Community College of the Air Force. They are responsible for doing the transcripting for our Air Force personnel. However, if there is an Air Force person who has attended a training offered by a joint service or offered by another service, that Air Force person could request to have a JST created. And I think we're going to put that link to the JST website up throughout the course of the segment here. And it's really easy to do. Just go on to the Joint Service Transcript website. They have a link there that allows you to get help. You just email them, and there are some great folks at the Joint Service Operations Center that'll work to help you and get you into the system and get your joint service transcript created.
Okay, so I just want to back up a little bit. So the Mtep program, you mentioned ACE before, correct?
I did.
Okay, so the Mtep is the Military Training and Evaluation Program, and Mtep works with ACE to provide credit recommendations for the training that service members get when they're in the service.
Correct.
Or when they're serving. And then all of that gets put onto the Joint Service Transcript, which is kind of like your military transcript.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, Erin, not just the military training, but the occupational experience as well. So that on-the-job training, because we all know, having been in uniform before, we learn so much when we're on the job about leadership and management and all those things that help to make us successful and help us progress through our career. We want to give credit for those as well. So we do, when we come on board, we do evaluate occupations as well, in addition to military training. Okay.
So what would you say is the most important thing about JST for service members?
Well, that's a very great question, and I sometimes think that folks don't truly understand the value of the JST, and so I'm glad we get the opportunity to kind of talk to them about that today. But what I want our viewers to know, both those that are in the military and our veterans as well, is the Joint Service Transcript really provides that documented evidence of your professional military training and your occupational experience. And when you decide to go to a college or a university and you decide, hey, this is the school I want to attend, and you start talking with that school or that university, you want to sit down with that academic counselor or that registrar's office, you really need to make sure that they have an official copy of your transcript in hand so that they can advise you properly. Because many of our military learners, our veterans, those types of folks that are starting their educational journey, even for the first time, or maybe after being out of it for a while, they waste valuable time and money taking classes that are really unnecessary, because they may be duplications of things that that school would already have given them credit for. And also, we want to make sure that when that person goes to that school to talk to that college or university, that they wait until their Joint Service Transcript is completely evaluated before they start enrolling in courses, because they'll be surprised and shocked to find out, what the college is actually willing to give them for their training and military experience. And so they can easily request an official transcript. They can do that through the JST website again. Once they create an account and log in, there's a link on there that says request official transcript, and they can send that official transcript to any school that they want to. They can send it to as many schools as they want to. Okay. And that's the great thing. And that's what those counselors, those academic advisors, those folks in the registrar's office, the people at the universities that work with the military and the veterans, that's what they're going to be looking for that documented evidence of what that military member has done or has completed. So definitely valuable.
Okay. You covered a lot on the benefits of the JST. Is there anything else that you might want to hone in on? Is there a cost? I'm going to ask that.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the cost, because I definitely want to talk about that in a little bit. But I think again, another good question, because just a few minutes ago I talked about the JST serving as really an advising tool when you're talking with when you're sitting down with the academic counselor at that college or university. But if you think about it, the JST really has some other benefits that you can utilize as well, because I know, and because we both were in uniform at one time, but it's also a tool that allows you to sit down with that career counselor within your service, that command career counselor, and sit down and talk about your Joint Service Transcript, and allow that command career counselor to help guide you to being successful, not only in your professional journey, but also in your personal journey as well, and with your educational path. So that's important. The other thing is that your Joint Service Transcript can provide the documented evidence of other things as well, like apprenticeships. It could show. Okay. It could show any of the things that you've done with the US MAP, any certifications, any licensures, all of that stuff that could potentially help you out in really trying to assert your competitive advantage when you're doing things like applying for commissioning programs, or advancement, or some of the selection and promotion stuff, and all those things. Because we know I know you know as well, as nowadays, our military members who are competing for these high level programs are all rock stars. So you got to figure out how
Right.
do you, right? How do you gain that competitive edge so that you can stand apart from your competition? Well, the JST is a way to do that because it shows all of the things that you have done and it's official. And so it's showing that group or those folks that you're wanting to share it with that, hey, look at what this individual is doing to move themselves forward in their career. The last thing I will tell you, and so, this is one thing that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to the joint service transcript, but it can help you, especially if you're a transitioning service member. It could help you in building your resume, right? Because
Right.
I know one of the hardest things for me when I transitioned from the military to the civilian world was trying to figure out how to put together this civilian transcript, right? That was asking me all of these things about my military work experience and how do I translate that into civilian language so it's easily understood and so forth, so on. So the JST can help with that as well. And one of the things I will plug, eventually, it hasn't been released yet, but down the line, I believe JST is working on building a resume builder within JST that's going to also be able to help service members as well and our veterans kind of help them to build that resume. But those are some other benefits and some important usages for a joint service transcript.
Okay, fabulous.
Yeah.
Now you kind of touched on it a little bit in that answer, but what's so important about your prior learning for
Yeah.
service members?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to call it we like to call it prior learning assessment in the fields we work in. Some people call it, credit for prior learning. Some people call it getting credit for what you know, right? But the bottom line is that being able to document or have documented your military training and your occupational experience and have credits recommended to a college or university is going to provide you with a head start. And I don't know anybody who doesn't want a head start. I know I can appreciate a good head start, right? And so it's really important that you think about how the learning that you've obtained throughout your career can help during things like the admission processes and prerequisite requirements for some of those programs that we talked about earlier, and then how you could transfer credits to meet your course requirements, because we want to consider a few things. One, doing all this saves time, right? And the more time we can save, the fewer courses we need to complete, the quicker we get to completing our degree requirements. And again, I'm not sure if there's anybody out there who would not love to finish school a little early and kind of move on to bigger and better things. The other thing it does, it also obviously, if you're taking less courses, it reduces your overall overall cost, excuse me, because it reduces the number of courses that you have to take, and that means less tuition, less books, and less fees that you have to come out of pocket. And given this COVID environment, I can tell you, I know it's very important for a lot of families to save as much money as they can. And so this allows us to do that. And lastly, well, I would say two more things. One, I talked about it earlier, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it really helps in career planning. So it really provides that means for competitive advantage with those career programs, that advancement, that commissioning programs, those transitioning programs, if you're a transitioning service member, and with your resume and your portfolio. But think about this as we have more than 2,300 colleges and universities that accept ACE credit recommendations. It really competitive options. So what it does is it gives you, the service member or the veteran, the opportunity to find the institution, right, the right institution that fits your specific needs and your specific goals. And so, and then we have things like within the JST site itself, there's a degree pathways tool. So the degree pathways tool will help you find degrees at a school of your choice that that equates to your military training and experience, and kind of gives you some insight into, hey, based on what you've learned and what's on your JST, this is what you qualify for. And so it's another tool to kind of help you. But the reality is that it really gives you, the service member and the veteran, the ability to pick and choose and to go with the institution that fits your needs and your goals for your families.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, this is such a great program, and it's hard to get it into 10 minutes,
I know.
into a short message. If you had, so yeah, because I could, just the thing that you said about the resume, just turning that military language into civilian language is so beneficial when you've got a tool that helps you do that. But let's, too much great information here. We want to make sure that that everybody can get as much as we can in these couple of minutes we have. What's the one advice that you might offer to service members starting out or just going back and trying to complete their degree? Can you sum it up?
And I will tell you another great question. I will tell you, I know this firsthand because I started off where many of these folks are starting off today, thinking about how do I build my future with education. And I will tell you that as our academic institutions continue to define and refine their future environments, I think it's really now more important than ever, because a lot of colleges and universities are starting to understand the value of military training and occupational experience. It's now more important than ever to leverage your experience as it relates to your military training and your on-the-job training, your occupational learning. So when you're thinking about, or you're asking yourself, how do I start to build my future through education or with education? I just tell you to look at really this kind of three-step process. My colleague Michelle Spires at the American Council and I, we kind of came up with this acronym we call DEL, or DEL. And really what it's about first determining your long and your short-term goals, or your short and your long-term goals, however you want to say that. But really, it's about thinking about, what is it you want to do, right? Do you want to get your associates? Do you want to get your bachelor's degree? Do you want to do an apprenticeship? Do you want to get a certification? Whatever that is, determine what your short-term and your long-term goals are. Are you transitioning? Are you trying to stay in for the long haul, and you're looking at promotion and advancement? All those things, think about and kind of create a goal, a plan to kind of get you to where you need to be, both short term and long term. The second thing I will tell you is that you need to evaluate. So that E in the DEL is really evaluate. Evaluate your military transcript as often as you can. I tell folks, at a minimum, at least once every 6 months, you should go in and look at your JST, right? And that's because you want to verify that the information that is on your JST is still valid. You want to make sure that anything that was there is still there, it didn't drop off. Anything that you may have sent to the JST Operations Center that you wanted them to upload, whether it had to do with a credential that you got or certification or whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that information's on there. And if you're not checking your JST regularly, then you won't know that. And without knowing whether it's valid or not, you may miss out on some potential credit opportunities. So you want to do that as often as you can. And then I would say, lastly, the L in that DEL is really about learning the transfer protocols of the college and universities that you're looking to attend. All right, because unfortunately, like I said, there's 2,300 colleges and universities who all have different policies and different credit acceptance procedures, and everybody does things differently, unfortunately. But the beauty in that is that, like I said earlier, it gives you the opportunity to really gives you that chance to kind of find out through your exploration what school is the right school for me, and what school is the right school that meets my needs and meets my goals. And maybe it's that school that's, providing credit for, a majority of these technical courses that you've taken, or whatever the case may be. But you really need to learn the protocol of that, the transfer protocol of that institution before just diving in. A lot of people will just dive in and start the admissions process and start going through, going into a college or university without really understanding what that means. And then after they've already started, they're trying to figure out, well, can I get credit for my prior learning experience? And it might be too late at that point. Or again, like we said earlier, you might have already taken courses that you didn't have to take. So doing that research and just understanding is very, very important.
Okay. All right. Well, a lot of information here, but I know that we've got another chance coming up for folks to learn more information. So why don't you tell them about that? That's coming up in the end of March, I believe.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about this. So we're going to have 2 JST webinars coming up at the end of March. So for those of you that are viewing this on Military One Source, go out to our website. We'll have the information up shortly, and look to see where you can get where you can register for one of these 2 JSTs webinar sessions. They're going to take place on the 30th of March. We're going to have 2 sessions, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So the one in the morning is going to be at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. It is going to cover our sea services, so our Navy, our Marine Corps, and our Coast Guard. And then we are going to have one in the afternoon at 1300 Central Standard Time for our Army personnel. And does it mean that you can't join because we're targeting those groups? No. Anybody can join, even if you're Air Force. You can listen in and tune in just if you're interested in hearing more about the JST. The great thing is I'm going to have in a captured audience the Joint Service Transcript Operation folks, and they're going to be giving us a brief, and they're going to be talking about the JST a little more in depth and some of the parts and pieces and how to go about getting things fixed and all that kind of stuff. And so you as the viewer will have those folks right there that you can ask all of the questions you've been dying to ask about JST. So we're really excited about putting these 2 webinars on at the end of March. So please, if you can, go out there and register. We'll have that information up shortly on the Dante's website, and we look forward to seeing you all there.
All right. Well, fabulous. Doug, we thank you so much. And everyone, we just thank you for joining us today. Again, Dante's has a lot of great programs, and we encourage you. That's why we're here. We encourage you during COVID, during this time, to get online, learn more about the programs that we offer. And please, please, your education is important. Take advantage of it. So stay safe. And take a look at Dante's website and check out all our programs. We appreciate it. Thank you.